Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts with breaking news.
Well, breaking this morning, the power outages in the metro continue to pile up. Nearly 2,400 customers, OPD, PPD customers, without power at this hour. Most of the affected customers are tied to one outage. It's near Saddle Creek Road and Jones Street. OPPD expects power from that outage to be restored by about 7:45 this morning. We'll also first alert you to any changes in the outage numbers throughout the morning.
Plus, new video this morning on our First Alert 6 weather day. This is from our Blackstone Tower camera. Yeah, a little bit after midnight. Through the raindrops on the camera, you can see Midtown Crossing on the foreground and downtown in the background. It was a little bit noisy last night. It's good to have you with us now on our First Alert 6 streaming. I'm Erin Hartley.
And I'm Cerise Cole. It is a First Alert 6 weather day. Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Laura has been telling us about it all week long. It is finally here. Round one almost done?
Yeah, I mean, it pretty well behaved, I guess is the good way to put it.
Yeah.
We had some hail, but it was small, stayed below severe limits, and it was a lot of just good beneficial rain that we all needed. So that round almost done. I'll show you the radar here in a minute. But round number two likely going to be stronger as the front moves into some air that's able to warm up a little bit more. So early storms are going to exit by 9 o'clock. Most of those should be northeast and out of here. A windy day with some warming, and then more storms in that 3 to 8 o'clock window. I think that is increasingly looking like that 5-hour time span there as the front marches across our area with a hail, wind, and a tornado threat. Little shower popped up just west of downtown on the Northwest Radial Highway, lifting to the northeast. And you can see more that have developed off to the northeast of the metro through parts of Harrison, Shelby, Pottawatomie County on the southern edge of this batch that just keeps lifting to the northeast. But you can see there's still moisture feeding into it. So we're getting some new development on the south edge. And bigger picture shows that moving northeast, the clouds trying to clear out, and that will be the energy we need to build for the next round. It will never be perfectly sunny today, but as you can see, this was just newly updated, so the 3 out of 5 area has been moved a little farther into our viewing area, include a little part of the metro. So basically what will happen is this front is going to keep marching southeast as we go through the afternoon. 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. is the window here for this to move through. And as it does so, it'll try to produce some hail, some wind, and a storm or two may have a tornado with it, especially as you go farther and farther southeast into this 3 out of 5 on the scale here, the orange shaded area. So that is what we are watching. Severe threats here. See how many of these change. Again, this was just freshly updated by the Storm Prediction Center. So you can see possible in the green, likely in the pink. We don't have anything quite that sure thing expected, but what happens is the front goes southeast and it runs into better air. So the tornado threat, greatest to the southeast of the metro.
I know.
Hail risk is probably the biggest deal with this, where up to tennis ball size hail is possible in the orange shaded area especially. Not from every storm, but the strongest storms will try to have that. And the wind gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour. Again, you can just kind of see how as that front marches farther and farther southeast as we break this down into individual threats, the greater risk of everything happening would be. So the good news, I think, is we can get kids home from school without any big issues because, yeah, the earliest storms around 3 o'clock. They become a little more widespread by 4 as the front moves through. But it really picks up after 4 o'clock. So getting everybody home before 4 is probably okay the way it's looking right now. It's the later drivers during the evening commute that might have some issues with hail and wind. Let me kind of show you what this looks like. Here's the front dropping in from the northwest, and the clouds are going to clear out after 9 o'clock, but never perfectly. Notice though, there's the breaks, there's the warmth we get out ahead of the front. There it is by 3. That's why I'm not entirely or overly concerned about the 3 o'clock hour. It's just the earliest. And then storms would ride along the front as the front drops southeast. So here's where it gets a little tricky. By 5 o'clock, a couple of storms along this front firing. Anything out ahead of it, that's where the tornado threat's going to be. Anything behind it, you're thinking you're done behind the front. Not necessarily with this one. There could be some hail-producing storms behind the front still in this 40-degree air. So that's what we'll be tracking here. Every storm has the wind potential, but notice how, again, they really pick up steam as this thing moves southeast and storms develop along it. So by 6 o'clock, Iowa down into parts of Nebraska City, Auburn, Falls City, that's where the greatest risk is going to be. And it keeps marching southeast from there. By 7, we have some. Notice by 8, pretty much out of the area the rest of the night, quiets down, and temperatures fall off through the 40s into the 30s by tomorrow morning. See a little snow to the northwest there. I wouldn't be surprised if the tail end of that tries to swing through, especially some of our northern counties. Could be just a little bit of flurry activity to start off the day tomorrow. Nothing major. It'll clear out very quickly.
Quite the busy forecast for you, because we're talking about cold temperatures to start off tomorrow, and then a warm-up is on the way.
That's the thing. They don't last long. So we're going to see the numbers jump big time through the weekend. The weekend is not going to be cold blast like you see here. Yeah, the winds flip from the south that helps us with the warmth today to the north that helps us with the cold today, later tonight. But you can see in the 3-day forecast, we go to 55 on Saturday afternoon, 71 on Sunday. And the winds start to pick up a little bit on Sunday too. Could have some gusts up near 20, 25 miles per hour. So a little breezy there on Sunday into the afternoon, dragging some of that warm air in. And then up near 70 on Monday, 65 on Tuesday. All of these numbers are warmer than the average, which is 47. So a pretty nice stretch here all the way around. So first Alert 6 weather day today, paying very close attention to that front as it moves through. 71 Sunday, 70 Monday, 65 on Tuesday, and then even next week, not cooling down quite as much. You got 50s, 60s, nothing trying to get cold maybe till the end of next weekend. So March so far, we get through this little stretch here, there's not a lot to worry about in the way it looks. So again, you got to pay attention. 3 to about 8 o'clock. Everybody seems to think when there's a severe threat, everybody gets a storm. That's not how it works. But we got to watch the front as it moves through and tries to make storms.
Because they hear you say storm, and they think, okay, that must mean us.
Yeah.
But
We're in a big place here. So just remember that.
All right, Rusty. So damp out there again this morning, a little gray. How's that affecting that commute?
Well, so far we haven't had any huge issues on the main roads. We've had some fog that's been developing in spots, so I wanted to make sure you were aware of that. And kind of lower on the interest level as far as weather goes, but if you're driving around and you see Harlan with 2 miles of visibility, there's been some patchy fog. This might be related to the thunderstorms rolling through Denison and Harlan. 3 in York, 7 in Lincoln right now, but not bad to the southeast. So again, these numbers will get better here during the morning hours. I-80 traffic looking pretty good right now. This is I-80 at 50th Street. No big problems right there. And you can see still a lot of green on the map. We'll see how many people decided to work from home today. Not a lot of volume on the road as of right now. You go all the way to the west, a new construction project to make you aware of though. F Street, this is 204th right here in Elkhorn. West of that, 207th to 213th. Going to be closed down for road construction into summer. I don't know if that means May, I don't know if that means July. So they got a while to work on this one, and that is what we'll be watching out west. Otherwise, if you're coming in from the west, from Elkhorn, Maple, Pacific, Center, Dodge, all looking good as of right now.
You're just naming streets there, but yes, they do all look good.
I can keep going if you'd like me to.
No, we're
Okay.
good. Rusty, thank you.
All right, Attleboro breaking news potentially related to this First Alert 6 weather day. A person is in the hospital after an early morning crash. This happened on I-80 near 96th at 1:45 this morning. This is a look at our Nebraska DOT cam in this area. Dispatchers telling us the person's injuries are not considered serious.
Also breaking this morning, authorities were called to another crash shortly after that one. This one was near 28th and Douglas just after 2 o'clock this morning. The good news, no injuries were reported in this crash. Authorities did tell our photographer on the scene, though, it was being investigated as a possible DUI crash. We will be sure to keep you updated on both of these breaking stories as soon as we learn more.
More breaking news to get to out of Lincoln. A person is dead after this house fire. This is what the area of 11th and Van Dorn looked like earlier this morning. 2 people were living in the house at this time. Officials say access to both the doors to the basement where the fire started were compromised and significant hoarding conditions made access very limited. All right, coming up this weekend, 6 fallen U.S. soldiers return home from Kuwait.
The somber homecoming awaiting their families, plus a special tribute here at home when we return.
Backplate covers have website 4 years on it. Your address is 660 Seward Street. So,
Victor 651, starting with a felony warrant at 505 South 16th Street, 505 South 25, headquarters, Randall, paragraph is coming in saying his client Andrew W. Jones, Hispanic male, 223 of 1985 with a warrant. Baker 65. And 1 Baker 65, the advisor party is going to be waiting in a flat fork floor, license plate with not a steel on it. 1 Baker 65.
For a copy of what's holding, a check will be at 102nd and Nicholas Street, and will be in response to 15.
Welcome back, everybody. Live look outside, 480 traffic, CHI in the background, Missouri River also there, but you can't stop noticing those gray skies once again. It's been that kind of week. So did the thunder wake you up overnight? We had round 1 of our first Alert 6 weather day, maybe still hanging on a little bit, but we're not done yet.
No, and the second round was always going to be the stronger one because it's got the daytime energy to work with. We kept everything mostly below severe limits with last night's round and early this morning, so that's good news there. The weather headlines start off with those morning storms and then more again after 3 p.m. And it's that round, it's after 3 p.m. that has the stronger potential. The weekend and next week looking pretty good, as a matter of fact. So right now on the radar, not much happening, just a little low moisture hanging in the air, and you can see it's still a little bit of energy feeding into some of these storms with new development popping up in some spots. So let's take you down here in southwest Iowa. You can see some new developments popped up between Rockport, Shenandoah, moving to the northeast. So again, we still got a little bit of this to move through. And bigger view or wider view shows where these thunderstorms are still moving through, but there's a front back here to the northwest, and that's going to start to march in. And I want to dive into a little bit more because this was just updated by the Storm Prediction Center here. And storms are going to try to fire along a cold front that marches southeast through the area. And this orange shaded area, the highest risk we have out of this, has been creeping closer and closer to our area in I-80 with every update. So as these storms keep marching, or this front keeps marching in, the ability to produce storms in that 3 to 4 o'clock window near the metro and then to the southeast is starting to increase. So there's the scale. Keep an eye on this. We have the tornado risk from I-80 to the south and I-80 to the southeast of Omaha. The biggest risk is probably the tennis ball sized hail potential from the biggest storms on the in this orange shaded area south of I-80. And now, in a recent update, they're saying 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. I have the high end at 70. It looks like some of those gusts could be a little bit stronger out of this. Again, probably in the yellow shaded area most likely. So the southeastern half of the viewing area really needs to pay attention after 3 o'clock as these threats start to increase. So the wind gusts now up near 80 miles per hour possible. Hail size could get up to tennis balls from a couple of storms, not every storm. And that tornado threat after 3 o'clock from Omaha to the east and to the south are again, how things break down with this as we look at it with this front that's moving in. So there's 9 o'clock, still pretty quiet at noon. Get you through about 3, not much, but from 3 to 4, storms start to pop. And notice how they're riding along the front. Front's marching southeast. Every model is going to look a little bit different with the exact placement of the storms, but it gives you the same idea. The leading edge of this is where the tornado threat's going to be, the large hail, and the damaging wind. Behind it, there's still going to be some hail potential behind this front. You can see, could be 1 or 2 really intense storms that try to get going along this, and that's what we'll have to watch with the tornado threat as this marches in. You can even see here little hints of the little mix at times on the back edge of this with the colder air filtering in here. So what'll happen is all this cool air settles in behind it. I think by 8 o'clock tonight we're pretty much done, and then heading towards tomorrow morning it'll just be cold. But look at the winds that flip. They'll go north and go to 25 miles per hour or so. into the evening, and obviously stronger with any thunderstorms. So 55 on Saturday, 71 on Sunday. The weekend's looking really good. 70 Monday and 65 on Tuesday. Pretty good first half of that 10-day forecast here as we go into the early part of next week.
All right, and it looks like we're getting some of those warmer temperatures too. So far, March not seem to be too freezing.
I know, any hint of some colder air, every day I've been putting the forecast together, just gets a little warmer and a little warmer. I was watching this Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. It doesn't get nearly as cold now behind that system, and there's not much of the rain chance. That's really been pressed down to the south on recent model runs for middle of next week. And you'll notice maybe something by the end of the 10-day forecast, but colder than average weather going to be pulled to the northeast, warmer than average weather over the western half of the country into the middle of the month, and that may mean drier than average weather for that section too. So kind of sandwiched in between on the precipitation there, but I think we're obviously leaning a little warmer than average during this first half of March. You know, cold morning or a cold day here and there can't be ruled out, but so far it's looking pretty good.
Okay.
Great news for all those spring sports parents.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're not going to freeze out there.
All right, Rusty, thank you. Well, the bodies of 6 U.S. soldiers killed in Kuwait will return home this weekend. Iowa Congressman Zach Nunn said in a statement he will attend the dignified transfer ceremony tomorrow in Delaware. Sergeant First Class Noah Tietjens of Bellevue, Major Jeffrey O'Brien of Waukee, Iowa, and Sergeant Declan Cody of Des Moines are among the fallen soldiers from that same unit. We'll have complete coverage on the transfer up on our website and our First Alert 6 app. And the Bellevue community coming together to pay special tribute to a man they knew as a friend and a combat partner.
Sergeant First Class Noah Tietjens of Bellevue was one of 6 killed in Kuwait earlier this week after his facility was hit by that unmanned aircraft during the United States attack on Iran. Well, last night there was a special ceremony and candlelight vigil at Martial Arts International. Yesterday would have been his 43rd birthday. Sergeant Tietjens was a former student and instructor at the martial arts facility. During the vigil, Mayor Rusty Hike spoke on the support for his family.
Bellevue is, they're hurting for their family, they're hurting for their friends, and they're praying for Noah's family and all of his friends.
Well, Michael Whalen, who trained with Tietjens, remembered him as someone who gave freely of his time.
I was teaching a class one time, and there was a student struggling. He was following along, but Mr. Noah easily came in, and he just actually told him, "Was like, can I work with him for a minute?"
If you would like to help, a GoFundMe has been created for Tietjens' family.
Well, some good news for Omaha commuters. The intersection of 67th and Pacific is now back open after a sinkhole. Yep, that one right there captured national attention. You can see it on your screen. 2 cars suddenly falling into the ground. Thankfully, both drivers were okay. Now, we still don't exactly know what caused the sinkhole, but Mayor John Ewing says the city does plan to do a full review to figure it out. And a First Alert 6 exclusive, former Omaha City Councilman Vinny Palermo, who spent 18 months in federal prison, is at the center of a city contract dispute.
That's right. So last month, Public Works rejected a tree and stump removal bid from Vinny's Tree Service, saying the company, quote, does not meet the intent of a responsible contractor. Well, the director points to Palermo's past unlawful actions as putting the city at risk. But the business is appealing, saying the actual owner is his son, Vincent L. Palermo, and that Vinny is just an employee. The appeal before the city council is Tuesday afternoon. Still ahead, the motive too tempting to resist. The suspect, a sheriff's canine named Moby.
And more on the playful crime when we come back.
On New This Morning, one canine deputy from Ohio was in the doghouse.
Yeah, Moby with the Lucas County Sheriff's Office is accused of a gruesome shredding of a lamb toy. An investigation led Moby being the top suspect, largely because, according to authorities, there were, quote, zero signs of forced entry. Officers described the scene as, quote, disturbing, with stuffing being scattered all across the floor. The department believes it has figured out a motive for the crime. The squeak toy appears to have been far too tempting for Moby to resist.
Look how innocent he looks right there. Like, what? I didn't do anything.
I was going to say, those lamb toys, I mean, my dog destroyed it. I think we timed it to 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Wally would be sentenced to life.
Yeah.
Our big bulldog, Kong toys are the only thing he can just rip apart.
We can't do soft toys either.
Anything.
Yeah, because he just destroys them.
It's pretty funny.
He just sits down and he just goes to work.
I love how they had fun with that, though.
Yeah,
That was pretty cool.
That was pretty good.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get ready for our update in today's show. You can watch it here on streaming or over our air.
Have a great start to your weekend.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
A good Friday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley. It is a First Alert 6 weather day on this Friday morning. More storms expected to roll through. Here's the senior chief meteorologist right now to explain.
Yeah, so the storms that are out there and we had overnight last night, they're still trying to hang on a little bit. And you can see north and east of the metro, but gradually these will fade away and lift off towards the northeast. I still think there's potential through about 9 o'clock here. As you can see, a little moisture just keeps feeding into these. But all the energy we need for the next round builds back here. And that's where we're starting to clear out. And that is going to be fed into this next batch of storms that will fire along a cold front moving in. 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. That is the 5-hour window where I need you to pay attention, because that is where storms will continue to develop. As the front marches southeast, you can see the threat gets greater and greater as it runs into more and more energy to the southeast as we go through the course of the afternoon into the early evening. Tornado threat near and south of I-80. I'm going to say southwest Iowa probably has the best potential in our area to see a tornado or two take form. Hail threat, up to tennis ball size hail from the strongest storm, and wind gusts 60 to 80 miles per hour. So all the facets we're watching with this, the greatest threat south of I-80 and southeast of Omaha, with basically the map kind of split in half here with those threats. So let's take a look at how things are looking on the roads this morning. Couple things of note. Possible crash 42nd and Drexel. You can see some slowdowns there as we look on southbound 42nd. Not huge slowdowns, a little bit of a residential area, but you can see that's one of note. Dodge at 102nd, traffic really starting to pick up on 680 and on West Dodge as well. We get a little more volume out there this morning. A lot of green on the map, not much happening elsewhere around the area, which is great news. Maybe a lot of work from home here on a Friday. Here.
All right, breaking news this morning. We're following the vast majority of more than 2,400 customers in OPPD that were without power now have power back on. Just 168 customers still without power.
All right, that is great news. It is 7:28. We're back with another update for you in 25 minutes. We'll see you then.